Hi, my name is Allie Adams. This is my summary of what I've been researching. So my key research question, or the thing that I've been looking at, is specifically Quakerism in slavery, like abolishment in America. And so how did such a small religious group have such a huge impact in this ending of slavery? And personally, I am a Quaker, so I also just wanted to research. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I wanted to research more about my own religion, um, and kind of just see the impact that my personal organization that I believe in could make a huge impact in America around in the 17 and 1800s. And so to begin, I wanted to talk about what I kind of already knew, and then a lot of the things that I learned through doing research. Because I knew that the Quakers, or the Society of Friends as they're called, was kind of the first church to, in America at the time, to officially say that we are no longer accepting slavery to be a thing, which means, one, that they say that it is a sin, it's illegal, that we should not be doing this to people. And two, which I think was also very kind of a permanence in their stake, they said that if you are to be owning slaves, then that you cannot be part of this congregation, because then we are not loving all of God's people equally. And that is exactly what the Quaker Church thinks, is that each person or each individual has the light of Christ, and they're beautifully made as an individual, and so no one is better than the other. And so by owning slaves, you are assuming a higher position, and that's not okay. But in my research, I have learned kind of a lot more. Some of which really is startling to me, and a big one of that is that, based on some sources, and not all of them, so I don't know how much this is true, is that while they were the first ones to ban slavery, some sources say they were also the first ones to kind of promote, and they were among the most predominant in the beginning of the early days of kind of this country's slavery movement. Which, if that's true, I found that fascinating. It does kind of make sense, kind of just in a logistic, because the Quaker Church is one of the more older denominations, which is kind of weird to say because it's so small. Because it began in Britain, it has a huge stake in Britain. It makes sense that then those people kind of were doing similar things there, and then just brought that over to America. But then while at America, things kind of started to change, their opinions changed, and then they became radically opposed to it. And then the second thing that I found very interesting, specifically with Quaker movement in the slavery area, was that how early it was. I knew that they opposed it, but I didn't realize kind of when they did it versus kind of when, for lack of a better word, America kind of woke up. Because they started in the 1600s. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. They in the 1750, they gave a document, like a public document, and published that they are officially abandoning slavery in their church, that there is nothing allowed of that kind. And so I thought that was just really interesting, because that, I think, slavery abolished in the late 1800s, and so for that to be so much earlier, I thought was really cool. Of while they may have started slavery here, they were also the first to publicly end it pretty early on in the movement of slavery. And they also even went so far, as I said, make a public document. So they had a signed document which was also really cool. It was by a woman, which doesn't happen very often, especially in that time, because women didn't have a lot of say in most churches. A woman specifically made this document that said, we are no longer accepting slaves in our church. If you have a slave, then you are no longer in the part of this family, because we call ourselves the Society of Friends. So you are no longer a friend in our society because you are not being a friend to this person. I just thought that was really cool, especially being from a woman. And the other thing I think I learned, because my whole question was, how did such a small group kind of publicly outlawing slavery affect a nation? And one of the things I really saw was that then they were kind of the forefront for other issues in our society. So once they started doing slavery, they're like, okay, let's just keep this role going, because social justice is used for the Society of Friends. And so that looked like the Native Americans. They were very huge on treating them well and giving back them the land, of trying to build relationships with them. And so same with women's rights. They were very huge on suffrage and allowing women a place in ministry, and kind of just viewing people as people that deserve respect. And it seemed like once they got the ball rolling with slavery, they're like, okay, let's go. Let's do all of these issues, and let's be the forefront of these issues. And which is interesting, because at the time, I'm trying to find it. I think they only had about 500 Quakers in America. And so it grew very rapidly to now there's about 300,000 in the world, which I understand is still very small compared to most denominations, but it's big for what the Quaker Church is. But there wasn't a lot of people that were Quakers at the time, but there was enough of a desire to change that this small group of people could make such a lasting impact in kind of the U.S. history, especially in multiple different areas. And so I think that what I'm learning is that it doesn't matter the quantity of people in your movement. Sometimes it just matters the quality of what you're willing to actually do to stop whatever's going on. So that's what I've been learning so far.